Lewis Hamilton might leave Mercedes early with 3 races and 1 sprint race left, and after the terrible race where he won his first championship back in 2008, it looks like the 7-time world champion is tired of how Mercedes treats him and wants to leave early, but Mercedes has fought back hard because they didn't like the idea that he wants to leave, which makes us wonder how things will end between Hamilton and Mercedes, and more importantly, will they end on a bad note? Everyone knows that Hamilton had one of the worst races of his career in Brazil, and while he got 1 point on Sunday, it wasn't what he wanted after how fast the car looked all weekend. Russell was winning the first part of the race before the rain and safety cars and red flags changed everything, but with Hamilton starting from 7th place, there wasn't much anyone expected from him as he fought with cars like the Haas of Hulkenberg and the RB of Lawson. When talking about his car, the 7-time world champion said, "With the car I have right now, it's the worst I've ever driven, so I probably won't be going very far with it. At least one of our cars was working. It's like a wooden board. There's no shock absorbers, it's just bouncing on the tires everywhere, can't speed up anywhere. The worst ride we've ever had, especially through corners. Just so stiff." The team has tried to explain why Lewis did so poorly in Brazil, because having one car fighting for the win while the other is at the back fighting for tiny points is totally wrong. According to the track engineer Shavlin, the team is now working really hard with Lewis's garage to figure out the mystery problem that's causing these bad performances, but Lewis has dropped some big news, especially after he drove Senna's MP4 Quartus car after the legendary drive around Interlagos. Hamilton said he would rather drive that old car than what he has to deal with for the rest of the weekend, which might seem rude to the engineers working hard back at the factories, but it's just the truth for Hamilton when talking about these differences. Shavlin said, "Normally you can understand the differences between the drivers' car setups. You let the drivers change things. They don't have to run the same setup, and we let them make their own setup. And when one of them seems to be doing well, you often take parts of that setup, or even all of it, and put it in the other car." The sprint race was a big problem because when you have less grip and you're getting the back end sliding out, you create more heat, and that makes the problem last longer. The other thing about the weekend was that the weather was very different. That's not why the problem happened, but it made it harder for Hamilton to get the setup he wanted for the race. But what's even worse is that Hamilton has sent a hidden message that hints he might leave Mercedes early, and in the radio talk after the race, the British driver said that this might have been the last race he could drive for the team, which didn't end the way he hoped it would. Talking on the cool-down lap after the race ended, Hamilton said, "That was a disaster of a weekend, guys. That's the worst the car has ever been. But thank you for keeping trying. Great job to all the guys doing the pit stops. If this is the last time I get to race, it's sad that it wasn't good, but I'm thankful for you." There's no doubt that words like this have caused a lot of talk around the paddock, because Hamilton has also said that the end with Mercedes in the W15 car cannot come fast enough, hinting that he's sick of driving a car that acts differently every single week. However, Mercedes is a great team and they understand how important it is to have Hamilton with them for the last races of 2024. And the events he has to do before finally leaving for Ferrari, as they've said that he will stay with the team for the next 3 races, and there won't be any changes to who drives the cars. The whole situation was also talked about by Johnny Herbert, the famous steward in the past couple of races, who was also a Sky F1 commentator, and when talking about how the car handles and how a driver like Hamilton can't figure it out, Johnny said Lewis Hamilton can't wait to get to Christmas. It is very confusing. There are times where he shows his real amazing speed and then it all disappears. How and why does that happen? That's what I don't understand. The car goes up and down like a yo-yo anyway, and George has similar problems. Lewis is coming to the end of his time at Mercedes, and George is the future, and Antonelli is ready for next season, so Mercedes will be helping George more, and a lot of the energy and input will be coming from him. What Mercedes did earlier is that they've stopped Hamilton from going to Ferrari after the Abu Dhabi finale to the Pirelli tire test, because they feel like he owes a lot to the workers back in Brackley, as well as lots of business work with Mercedes and its partners. This shows that the team didn't accept the fact that Hamilton chose to leave them earlier and used a part of his contract before even trying out the W15 car, and now that he's behind Russell in the Drivers' Championship after having 2 wins in 2024, it's safe to say that the favoritism has been going on for quite some time. To make things worse, Toto Wolff has talked about the contract that Mercedes signed with Hamilton, the 1+1 rule, saying that he knew that all the good things will come to an end, and so will the leaving of the 7-time world champion. Talking about it more, Toto said, "We're grown-ups. We knew that by signing a short contract we would only keep Hamilton for 2024 and leave the door open for 2025 for him to leave, but we also knew it could help both sides. We couldn't promise a longer time, and he's taken the choice to leave. We totally respect that you can change your mind. There are different situations. Switching to Ferrari, maybe for the last job in his career, maybe taking a chance. I can understand that decision." However, Wolff admitted that he kind of felt betrayed by Hamilton, because at the same time he announced he was leaving, drivers like Norris and Leclerc had already signed new deals with their teams, which left Mercedes with no other choice than to go for the risky promotion of Kimi Antonelli, who hasn't even finished a full season in Formula 2. This move is compared to the one that Red Bull did back in the day with Verstappen, as Toto fully trusts that Kimi is the next champion for Mercedes, which leaves a little bit of room to wonder whether or not Russell can be the leader that the team says he needs to be from 2025 onwards. On top of that, it seems like Wolff knew about Hamilton leaving quite before it was announced, as it was told to him by the father of the driver who Hamilton is replacing at Ferrari, Carlos Sainz Jr. When talking about it, Wolff said, "So I heard the rumors 2 weeks before. Yeah, the old man Sainz called me and said this is what is happening, and then there were a few drivers' dads who called me that didn't before, so I thought, okay, there is something going on there. Then I sent a text to Vasa saying you're taking our driver. I didn't get any response, which was very unusual for Fred. He's a good friend, so yeah, I saw it coming. Obviously Hamilton is not very proud to be driving the W15, especially after how the season turned out, with Mercedes being in no man's land and being stuck in 4th place in the team championship. They have no hopes to fight for the top 3 positions, and they're safe from the teams at the back. But with the new rules and the new hopes coming from Antonelli, the team now believes that the future is bright, especially once the new rules come in from 2026 onwards. Whether or not Hamilton made a mistake by moving to Ferrari, time will tell, but right now it looks like he knew that the season would happen the way it did, which is always a big reason as to why he was treated the way he was in races like Canada and Spa. The silence on the radio was very loud in Canada, where the tactics used by the team were really bad, while in Spa the team understood that they'd messed up the race and took a risk with a one-stop strategy with Russell that ended up giving Hamilton the win, which was obvious by looking at Wolff's face. With all of this in mind, do you think that Hamilton should leave Mercedes earlier, and if so, do you think that Mercedes is doing the right thing by keeping him until the last day in his contract? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're interested in the latest drama involving Lance Stroll and Aston Martin, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.